Hi everybody, that's Allie.
And that is Dash,
Welcome to our playdate.
where we choose a game, sometimes make up our own rules, and play for a while.
Enjoy listening and playing along.
Or don't. We can't hear you. It's a podcast.
Especially if it's at the start of a month. Because like you said, you start talking about like, oh yeah, it's done this day, and you put it in the back of your mind as,
Right.
oh, it's not till next month. But you don't realize you're already on the 27th, 28th of this month.
Which is funny because I tell my students that stuff all the time. I'm like, okay, when is your paper due? And they tell me the number, and I'm like, you realize that's 6 days from now? Right? Because if you say that number, it sounds like it's far away, but I'm going to just let you know that that number is 6 days from now.
Right.
Or whatever, 3 days from now, whatever. So I do it with my students, but I don't do it with myself. Whatever. Brains are weird.
And with that, hi little ghosties.
So, hi!
Hey everybody, we are on the road.
On the road again.
Yes.
Just can't wait to get on the road again.
We are on our way to...
Gonna stop singing so we don't have to pay for this song.
Yeah, we're on our way to West Palm Beach to do an improv show. Our friend Anthony Francis is moving away.
He'll already be gone by the time y'all
Yeah.
listen to or watch this. But he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's wonderful, and if he does improv in... I think they're moving to... I
Let's
forgot.
not give his details
Yeah, I'm sorry.
in his business.
It was a big city, I don't know.
We don't need to... Listen, we're going to cut that. We don't need to give his business on this podcast.
All right, so he's moving to a place hitherto unnamed. But yeah, we're going to miss him. It'll be fine. He'll still come down,
Yeah.
and he'll perform, and we'll get to see him and play with him and stuff. But this will be his last show in South Florida for a while.
Yeah.
So we're headed up to West Palm Beach to perform with and support our friend.
Yeah, to see and watch.
Yeah, right. We get to enjoy it, too.
Right.
And today we are playing a game that we have played on the podcast before, but
That's
it's
right.
the other version of it. It's called So.
So...
Conversation Starters. ...
And this is volume 2.
Right.
So this is 52 endless conversation cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a card game that's meant to spur conversations between friends or couples or people who have just started dating, people who have been dating for a while.
Yeah.
It's just, great conversation starters for people who feel like they maybe have, hey, let's just have a reason to talk.
I think this stuff is great. I wonder, actually, if we have any mental health professionals, I'd be curious to know if, these are things that you use in your practice, maybe with kids or with adults. I feel like that would be a good idea, right?
Sure.
It's maybe you got an hour-long session, you start with a couple of questions for someone who maybe doesn't
Know where to go, yeah.
know where to go, or maybe someone who is court-mandated to be there and not necessarily interested in doing it from their own volition.
Right.
Who knows?
I have to wonder, if I were to do speed dating, right?
Yeah.
And I took, a deck of these cards, and every time I switched to a new table, I was like, tell me when to stop.
Right.
Right? Would that be seen as weird? Or, you know what? I shouldn't be asking that question, because if they are not willing to accept my weird,
Yeah.
then they're not the person for me anyway.
I think it would be... So I've done speed dating.
Bless
It
you.
did not result in a date. It was a fun experience, though. But I feel like it gets super monotonous, right? So if somebody sat down with a deck of cards and was like, as long as they were like, hey, I brought this deck of conversation cards, you want to just do this?
Yeah.
I would be like, yeah, man, let's do it. I'm so tired of talking about my job and my...
So what do you do?
Right.
What's your favorite color?
Exactly.
Do you want to see a magic trick?
Correct. Or you could mix it with both, right? Magic trick and now we get the card.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we did it last time.
I think we just took turns reading questions.
But we both answer?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I shuffled.
Okay.
So let's just do the first, 3, 4?
Sure.
Let's just do the first 4. Putting the rest here in this box for another episode at another time. Okay. So I'll read to you, you answer, and then
Yeah.
I'll answer.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1. So, who's one influential figure you wish you could make 100 clones of?
Ooh. God, that's a great question.
That is a great question.
Influential figure. They always say don't meet your idols.
I met one of mine. She was very kind. And then I met another one, and he was not. So. Influential person. You make 100 clones of.
That's a lot of
specific
clones.
Number.
You know who I feel like I can make 100 clones of?
Who?
Adam Savage. You know my love for Adam
He
Savage.
would just be getting it done constantly.
Yes,
just
that's exactly my point.
Building and making and building and making.
Yes, correct. You know how much we could accomplish as a country with 100 Adam Savages running around?
I am saying.
Yeah, that's. I'm going with that.
I think that's a solid pick, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who would I make 100 clones of? An influential person I would make 100 clones of. Influential is so hard because how, right? So many people are influential in positive and in negative ways.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of someone who is like an innovator, right? Who would just like come up with all these new ideas and solve all the problems.
But who also, like, if there were 100 of, they wouldn't contradict each other. You know what I mean?
Right. They would all
like they wouldn't get in each other's way.
We can all just be cool to each other, right? All 100 of us.
Right. Which is one of the reasons I picked somebody like Adam Savage, because Adam is a problem solver, right? Yeah. And the skills are so varied that you would just take a project and be like, all right, 5 of you Adams go take care of this. 5 Adams go do the sanding, right? Like,
I would watch that TV show. I would definitely watch that television
just
show.
A show called 100 Adams?
Yes. Yes, 100 Adams.
Right. You would need one Adam to, like, rule them all, I feel. Like, just one. Or one Jamie Heineman.
That's the last season, isn't it? There's just one clone left. Who would I make 100 clones of?
Yeah, 100 clones.
What a hard question.
They're supposed to make you think. And review you as a person.
The person that's actually coming to mind the most right now is Brene Brown.
Okay.
Who, you've probably never heard of her.
I've heard of Brene Brown.
Okay. She does a lot of work with shame and vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And she writes a ton of books that are, like, actually really helpful. I've read a few of them. And I feel like if 100 Brene Browns just ran weekly workshops, we could help dismantle a lot of toxic elements in our society. And it would really make the world a better place.
Okay.
Because people would, instead of acting out in anger and shame, understand that, like, your vulnerability is actually your strength, and that seeing another human being as a human being first dismantles everything else, and that needs to be the focus of every interaction.
Okay.
Anyway, read Brene Brown if you haven't already, but I'm going to say Brene Brown.
That's
the first person that came to mind. I feel like it's a solid pick.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a solid answer.
Yeah. So, if you didn't have to sleep every night, what would you do with all that extra time?
I would make so many things. I would just make things.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to sleep.
I would read,
just make,
crochet, and write.
Yeah.
So if we're sleeping 8 hours, I would probably do like a 3-hour read, a 2-hour write, and like a 3-hour write, and then maybe like a 2-hour crochet.
Okay,
session.
yeah.
I try to do those things in the day, but not for that extended amount
of
time.
It's hard during the day, right? Because you've got so much stuff going on that you can't really fully concentrate on the thing. But if you didn't have to sleep, right, there's nothing else really. You could just put on The Office on the background and do your thing.
For me, it's often about screen time too. Like
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time in front of a screen at work,
Mhm.
especially in summer where I'm teaching through a screen.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, when I put that away, I don't want to look at another screen and start
Yeah.
writing something.
Sure.
Or I don't want to look at another screen and read something.
Yeah.
I do have plenty of like hardcover books, etc. But like, I just don't want to have a screen in front of my face.
Right.
I want to watch TV.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, sure. Which is a screen,
But farther away.
bigger and horizontal.
Yeah, but farther away, and I don't have to. I can walk away from it and not interact with it.
Right. You can control it on a peripheral.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not in your hand.
Yeah. So I would just like
Fair.
both of us. We would just like be creative.
Yeah.
I guess.
I feel like that's my default mode. Like my default is being creative, and everything else just gets in the way of that.
Yeah. Like I was talking to someone in the airport, as I sometimes want to do,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying like we started talking about AI, and he was saying like, oh, I'm basically middle management, and AI. I'm scared AI is gonna like do my job, and I was like, honestly, your job sounds boring, and I feel like AI should do it.
Right.
And then we get to go like run around in the woods and
Mhm.
frolic, and like make music and dance and art and sing,
Right.
and like be human beings in the world together.
Right.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, that's the world I want to live in,
Yeah.
where the robots are doing all
Listen.
the work, and we get to just make art and frolic in the woods.
Listen, if humanity ended today, knock on wood, I hope it doesn't, but if humanity ended today and it started all over again tomorrow from scratch, there are three things that would come back in the next civilization. One is math, because it's a universal constant.
Uh-huh.
The second one
Also
is
helps you understand a lot
it
of
helps you
stuff
understand a
in
lot
the
of stuff,
world,
yeah.
For sure.
the second one is agriculture, because that's how societies formed, was when we learned agriculture.
Right?
And the third is art
For
and
sure.
entertainment.
For sure.
Because music is just another form of math, and everything else is just an expression of our senses.
But it's not that, it's the idea of storytelling.
Right.
Right? Like, how do you transmit knowledge to the next generation? How do you transmit the
Mhm.
math to the next generation? How do you transmit the knowledge of agriculture to the next generation? You tell stories.
Right,
You make it into something that's palatable.
right. And
And
what
you
are
can tell
numbers?
Stories, yeah, you can tell stories in dance. You can tell
Yeah.
stories in an oral modality. You can tell stories in poetry and drawings and art. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, our
Make
default.
more art. We
Make,
say it all
make
the
more
time.
art.
Make your thing.
Do your
Go
thing.
frolic in the woods.
Wear shoes though, because it's gross. But yeah.
Do what you want. Do what you want to do.
Ah.
Don't hurt other people, but do what you want.
Yeah,
to.
personal opinion. Every time I see one of these like cute influencer girls on Instagram walking around barefoot in the swamp, I'm just like,
Swamp, no. But grass is very nice.
nah,
Grass is very
I don't
nice.
know. Stuff
Yeah.
poops in grass. That's how you get ringworm.
I mean, you poop in a porcelain hole.
Sure, I'm not stepping in the porcelain hole though.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I don't think it's that weird. So, when was the last time you laughed uncontrollably?
Okay, like here's the thing. It's an inside joke, so I'm gonna say it, but nobody is gonna get it. But thus is the nature of the question.
There is nothing more entertaining than taking an inside joke
Yeah.
outside to the people that are
Right.
not aware of what it is.
So, the last time I hung out with all my friends, we were at a friend's place, and it was his birthday, so we're all celebrating together. And a couple of us have this mutual friend who we'll call Lacey.
Lacey.
Lacey, for the sakes of this and not mentioning a person's real name. So, Lacey is a mutual friend of some of us, and whatever, she's hung out before with us. So Lacey comes along. Now Lacey is 25 years old, 26 years old.
That I already know who Lacey
I know who you know who it is.
I know who Lacey is.
So, so Lacey's hanging out with us, and she's talking to another friend of ours about how, like, dating right now sucks and all this stuff.
I would argue it always has.
It always has. It's absolutely terrible.
It's just hard. Until
it's just hard. No, it's hard for her being an extremely good-looking girl at 25. Imagine how difficult it is to be a me-looking guy at 39. Okay, that's difficult. All right, I'm playing on hard mode here. Okay. So anyway, Lacey's talking about how bad it is for dating, and she's talking about like this guy that she went out with and it was bad or whatever. So I make a comment because I know Lacey's not into me. She's not going to be into me. I'm doing this just because it's funny for the situation, not because I'm actually trying to hit on Lacey. So I sarcastically say, well, the problem with you, Lacey, is that you keep going for guys your own age. What you need is like a 39, 40-year-old guy who's established, he's a little bit more mature, he's, hasn't been going out in a while, so he's going to be loyal. He's not going to cheat on you because he doesn't have a chance with anybody else anyway, right? That's what you need. So anyway, that was the joke. People laughed, blah, 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 blah. A few more times throughout the night, anytime she mentions dating, I would again sarcastically remark, what you need is like a slightly older guy who like loves his mom, right? And I kept mentioning all these attributes that obviously apply to me. So
makes puppets.
Makes puppets, right. Like every time I made the joke, I just got more and more specific with it, and everybody got it. We all laughed. It was funny.
Was she laughing?
She was laughing.
Okay.
She even went along with it. She's like, no, yeah, you're absolutely right. Where can I find a guy like that, right? Like she was definitely going along with it.
Great.
Yeah, it was not uncomfortable. And again, I'm sure that she knows that the only reason I was making these jokes is because we both know that nothing is going to come.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm aggressively hitting on her. It's obviously this is a joke. So, unless it isn't, in which case, I'm kidding. But anyway, so at the very end of the night, now we've been at this party for a few hours. I haven't made the joke again in hours. And it's like now the end of the night, everybody's packing up to go home or whatever, and we get to talking. And I mentioned something that I did earlier in the night. And Lacey says, we're all standing in a group talking about this, and Lacey says, well, that's the problem, Dash. You were being too nice about it. I would have been a lot meaner. So I say to her, and I was like, well, that's just it. I'm a nice guy who's older and more mature and has a job and loves his mom. And then I just went down the list of all of the things. But before I got to the end of the list, everybody was laughing so hard, falling over in their chairs at the fact that I've now brought back this joke that I started laughing. I was doing a bit.
Yeah.
It was a whole bit. Yeah. But that's the essence of comedy, right? It's just like drop it, it becomes a running gag, and then you drop it
when everyone else has also dropped it.
Yep. Boom, you drop it.
Hit it again.
You hit it again, and that's where we got. So I died laughing that night. Like I'm not actually here. You're seeing a ghost of me because I died that night.
You have become a little ghosty.
I have become a little ghosty. Yeah,
wow.
we all died laughing that night because of that joke. And again, I'm sure you're loving hearing the jokes secondhand.
Yeah.
As I explain the inside joke.
Inside jokes outside are different.
But if you don't get that joke, then maybe you need someone in your life who is older and more mature, and maybe has a solid, established job with a career, loves his mom,
does improv, makes
funny
puppets,
guy,
idolizes Adam Savage.
very crafty.
These are qualities a person could have.
Like I could build a deck. Or rather, the guy you should be looking for can build a deck. Yeah. So that was it.
Yeah.
That was the last time I laughed that hard.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because that was a recent story.
That was recent, yeah. So it wasn't like I'm remembering 20 years ago was the last time I laughed.
I don't know about uncontrollably, but I tend to laugh at like really weird stuff. Sometimes there's just like something will strike me or the way somebody said, I don't even know. I couldn't necessarily describe what it is that's making me laugh. But I was shadowing an improv class this week. And in the scene, somebody called the other character in the scene Neighbor Joe. And I was laughing so hard. The people who were not in the scene kept looking at me. And I was just like, he's a Neighbor Joe! But it's Neighbor Joe! And then they saw that I was laughing. And so, of course, everybody came in and just kept calling this character Neighbor Joe.
Right.
And I still do not know why it's so funny.
Yeah. Nope.
I think it's because it's that moment of like, okay, you have to get the who, what, where out there. And they were just like, I'm going to just get the who. Neighbor Joe. That's who you are. That's what I call you. But it's such a beautiful gift in a scene.
Yeah.
To just say a weird thing and now everybody has to deal with it. And I, like a weirdo, react to it.
Right.
So that was the last thing I remember laughing at, really. I was just like, I don't know why I'm laughing at this, but it's very funny.
That's the beauty about improv, is you never know what's going to break you.
Funny. It was so funny.
I remember one time watching and it was the first time I had ever really seen somebody say something that broke the audience, the person in the tech booth, everybody on stage, to the point where they had to just abandon the scene and move on.
Yeah.
And it was a scene, it was between Joe Bill, the other guy from Basprov, whose name escapes me at the moment.
These are improvisers, by the way.
These are improvisers.
In our world, these people are rock stars.
Oh, yeah.
To non-improvisers, just a dude.
You know who these people are, yeah. So, so I'm watching it, and it's a double set between Basprov and Brouhaha, and the four of them are performing together. And they do a scene, and it's a wonderful scene, and somebody casually mentions in the first scene that they ship out all sorts of things, and then they did the rule of three, where like you name three things, but the third one is weird. So it was like, we ship this, and ferrets, right? And it was
like tires, mufflers, and ferrets.
Right. That wasn't the line that broke everybody. But that was casually dropped in that scene. That scene kept going, whatever. There was a story involved. Anyway, the scene gets swept. We now move on to the next scene. Somebody comes out, and it's like they're working in a store. And one of the guys knocks on the door, walks in, and says, yeah, hello, I've got a complaint about my shipment of ferrets. When I tell you that there was uncontrollable laughter by everyone in the theater, it was unbelievable. I'd never seen, they broke the theater. They were laughing. The people at concession were laughing so hard that they just abandoned it, swept, and started a brand new scene.
Right.
Because there was no coming back from that. Just such a simple line. That's improv. I love improv so much.
Yeah.
Gotta complain.
It's something so inconsequential,
right?
And then later on, it comes back at the perfect moment, and you're just like, "Well, I'm deceased. This is fine.
Yeah,
it's fine."
You want to do another one?
So this is our last question.
All right.
If every human came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Ooh, this is a spicy one.
This is a spicy question. I like it.
What? It just happened? Okay. If every person...
Mine's easy. Mine would say morning broken pancreas. Do not feed without direct supervision.
Mine... Let's see. What would mine say?
What a nightmare.
Mine would say caution, anxiety, treat with care. Precaution, anxiety. Anxiety is probably my biggest flaw, if I had to pick one. It's my greatest strength and my greatest weakness.
Warning, contents may be anxious.
There you go. Warning, contents may be anxious. Warning, contents prepared in same factory as anxious things may contain trace amounts. Yeah, I think my biggest thing, and the one I get constantly is like, are you okay? Something
We have
wrong?
like diagnosed anxiety.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
let's be clear about
Yeah,
that. We're
like
not just saying
diagnosed
like
anxiety.
I have anxiety,
Right.
whatever. This is an actual.
Yeah, I'm not like
Diagnosis.
one of those people who sees a tile at a place and they're like, oh my god, it's making my LCD go crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's
Right.
not that. Like, I've diagnosed anxiety.
No, I
it's
just
a
think it's
real
important
thing.
to say.
Yes.
That's exactly what you said, right?
Yeah.
People are sometimes really flippant about
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
but it's different when it's actually a thing
Yes.
that you
That I have.
are,
Yes.
that you
Yeah.
have been diagnosed with
Mhm.
and are
Mhm. Yeah.
addressing in life.
And it's tough
And
because
treating.
I have anxiety and ADHD.
These,
Which,
those
like,
go
they just-
together a lot.
Yeah,
right?
they do. Yeah, it's usually like if you have ADHD, if you have ADD as a child, you are more prone to be anxious as an adult.
Yeah.
And it's all just overthinking. It's really what it is.
Mhm.
It's just you think a lot about things.
Right.
Which again, one of my greatest assets is that I'm anxious and I overthink things because it makes me an amazing problem solver. It also
Because you've already thought about scenarios A to Z.
correct, yes.
And
And,
come up
like-
with a solution for all
And
of
I
them.
can troubleshoot things in my head. So like,
Yeah.
if you come to me with a problem while you're still talking about the problem, I've already gone through several scenarios in my head about what it can or cannot be. So then we can test those things, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's nothing wrong with being anxious or being an introvert or being any of those things. You just have to learn how to use those as a superpower.
I always think about it as like, in Finding Nemo, he has his lucky fin.
Yeah, right.
I feel like everybody has their lucky fin, right?
Yeah,
The thing
right.
that
Like,
on the surface seems like it's not great.
like it's a hindrance.
It's a hindrance.
Right.
But
There's occasions for it.
they're right. But in the end, it's actually your superpower.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
thank,
that's it.
thank yourself for your lucky fin today,
Yeah.
everybody. Maybe that's our takeaway message.
I honestly think and I want to say this in case there's anybody else out there who's super anxious or has the ADHD issues that I do. One of the things that gets the most is like, I'll be out with friends and they're constantly checking on me like, hey, are you okay? Are you fine? It's like, I'm fine. I'm having fun. I just have fun listening and I internalize that fun rather than being loud and boisterous and moving around and doing all this crazy stuff. Like, I'm just taking in a lot of stimulus at the same time. So it's just taking a lot of energy to process all that,
Right.
which doesn't mean I'm not having fun. It's just fun is part of that process.
I will now have fun.
Yes. This is me. I'm having fun.
I am having a great time. Thank you for inviting me here.
it's like Captain Holt. I'm having fun. This is fun now.
Yeah.
That's me.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And I've had it's cost me relationships, honestly. Let's get real deep. Let's go personal here. It's cost me relationships
So if you're
because
looking for
Mhm.
an older, established guy who loves his mom, does improv, makes puppets,
Yeah. Right. And
has anxiety.
it'll be the thing where like I'm dating somebody, it's going really well,
Yeah.
they really like me, I really like them, but now it's time to introduce me to their friends. And we all go out and we're having a dinner and everybody's talking and having fun and having these conversations. And I'm sitting there just listening to everyone. So the person I'm with tends to feel like, well, I kind of brought you here because I wanted to show you off to my friends and how much fun like we have together.
Right. Yeah.
But now all they see of like, do you not like my friends? Do you not want to hang out with them? Do I just not invite you next time? And that's not one person. I'm not singling anybody out. That's almost every relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain to them like, no, it's nothing personal. I think your friends are great. I have a great time. Let's hang out with them whenever. I don't mind at all. But it's hard to express that because it sounds like you're saying one thing but doing another. So yeah, there's that. So to my future relationships, should I ever have one again, yeah, I'm having fun. I promise you. I will point you to this
We
podcast.
need to just get you a t-shirt that says, I'm having fun, I swear.
Yeah. So I think on that deep note,
So.
yeah. So that was so.
That was so, yeah. Should we rate it? I think we played it in a season where we didn't have the rating system.
Oh, we might have. Yeah. It's essentially a deck of cards.
It is a deck of cards. Yeah. The cards say so on all four corners. They have a nice little kind of logo-y thing. Mm-hmm. This is
you have to back up a little bit. You have to back up a little bit.
I'm backing up.
And it's just too much glare.
Too light is the problem.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. That was a complete and total
I'll
failure.
post it. There will be a picture of the cards on our Instagram so you can see it. Head over to Society Circus on Instagram. That is our Instagram.
And we'll post, we usually post some stuff from the episode.
Yeah.
We'll have to post your dating profile this time. So the box is just a box of cards. I'm gonna give it a box of candy cigarettes. That's what it's giving.
All right. Box of candy cigarettes. Yeah. Okay. Not like bicycle playing cards. Bicycle playing cards have a sort of texture to them.
Yeah. No, this is like a box of candy cigarettes.
Yeah. I can go there.
Situation. The cards are tokens. Cards.
Cards.
Yeah.
They're just regular playing cards.
Yeah. They're a little bit nicer. I'm going to give them a set of business cards that your boss gives you when you get hired that you didn't really have any say over how they got made. And they're not bad, but like they're not your preference.
Right. They weren't business cards that have your touch to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just sort of a standard generic.
Sure.
Everyone who works here has this with their name on it.
Yeah.
Card.
Fair. Mm-hmm.
Playability, super easy.
Super easy to play.
It's one of the easiest. You pick a card, read it.
Answer questions.
Get deep. If you don't like to get deep, though, it may be hard to play for you. Emotionally difficult to play.
I get it. And some people are very guarded and keep stuff to their chest. That's fine.
Right.
Maybe this isn't the card game for you, but...
And
or don't play it in a large group, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like this is a large group game, unless it's, some sort of icebreaker scenario, maybe, where everyone's on board. Fun? Did you have fun?
I had fun. It's not fun like, haha, dying laughing of an inside joke fun, but...
Bringing an inside joke outside level of fun, I think.
I'll take
what
that.
We can say about this.
I will take that. Yeah. All right, everybody. So from the car on the way to West Palm Beach, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Now we'd love to hear from you.
You can visit playdatepod.us to watch our videos,
Access our episode library,
find out more about our brand of quality, clean comedy,
and contact us with any questions or comments.
Improvisers love audience suggestions, so make sure you visit playdatepod.us.
And the podcast you just heard was a production of Society Circus Players.
If you like what you heard today, please rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend.
And finally, if life's a circus, we're the clowns!
Wouldn't that be a great spot to build a theater?
Or a community garden.
Or a community garden or whatever. A park.
Attached to a
Pickleball
theater.
courts.
A complex with an improv theater, community garden, and
And pickleball courts. That's it. That's all we need.
That's it. That's how we get out.